Major breaking news today on former President Trump's legal battles, a victory. His classified documents case in Florida has been dismissed. Judge Aileen Cannon has thrown the case out after deciding that special counsel Jack Smith's appointment violated the U.S. Constitution. Great reporting on this today from David Spunt, who is live for us at the Justice Department with the latest and the President Trump's reaction. David.
Well, Harris, President Trump is thrilled. We're waiting for some sort of reaction from the Justice Department. Haven't gotten it yet. We're told we will hear something likely from special counsel Jack Smith's office, perhaps his next steps. He could appeal to the 11th Circuit Court of Appeals, also potentially go to the Supreme Court. But remember, it was almost 2 years ago, August of 2022. That's when the FBI raided Mar-a-Lago. This case has been hanging over former President Donald Trump before he even announced re-election. Judge Aileen Cannon, who happens to be a Trump-appointed judge, announced that this case is dismissed because Jack Smith was unlawfully appointed. He was a special prosecutor, Harris, at The Hague in the Netherlands, prosecuting war crimes in Kosovo when Attorney General Merrick Garland called him up and asked him to be special counsel. Garland did so because Trump announced that he was going to be a candidate for President of the United States, and it would keep the DOJ insulated from looking like it was weighing its power on the scale. Judge Cannon has problems with Smith's appointment because he was not Senate confirmed. Now, she took a recent hint from Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas, who questioned Smith's appointment on paper. Cannon wrote in her 93-page ruling today, in the end, there does appear to be a tradition of appointing special attorney-like figures in moments of political scandal throughout the country's history. But very few, if any, of these figures actually resemble the position of special counsel Smith. Mr. Smith is a private citizen exercising the full power of a United States attorney and with very little oversight or supervision. From 2000 to 2016, we had one special counsel, Patrick Fitzgerald. From 2017, Harris, until today, we've had 5. Robert Mueller was a former FBI director who investigated Trump and the Russia connections. He was not Senate approved, but Judge Cannon is not going back in time. Nothing she can do about that. John Durham, who investigated the origins of the Russia probe. David Weiss, who investigated Hunter Biden, is currently investigating Hunter Biden. And Jack Smith, who is investigating Donald Trump. John Durham, Robert Hur, and David Weiss were all U.S. attorneys. They were Senate confirmed. Right now, we're waiting for some sort of news from Jack Smith's office, but no question, a seismic day for the Trump campaign. He told our Brett Baer earlier that he wants his other prosecutions to end as well. Harris.
Well, it's interesting because with Jack Smith, and you and I touched on this last hour, this really potentially delays anything that he would be doing against Donald Trump.
I think so. And we have the January 6th case where the former president's accused of trying to overturn the 2020 election here in Washington, D.C. That was supposed to happen March 4th, the day before Super Tuesday. That was on hold because of the Supreme Court. 2 weeks ago, today, actually, on July 1st, the Supreme Court ruled, which made it a little bit trickier for Jack Smith to move forward with his case. Doesn't mean it's not going to happen in D.C., but having it before the election is increasingly more difficult.
Absolutely. David, thank you very much. Emily, break this down, if you would, just in terms of how much of a victory this really is.
A significant victory and potentially momentarily. And I wanted to share that, I read the order, and not only was the appointment ruled unconstitutional, but also the use of indefinite permanent appropriations, which those of us who keep track of our tax dollars should appreciate. But here's the reality that in the next 2 days, that will be the indicator of which way this case goes, because at the end of the day, you can appeal anything. So potentially the prosecution can still file, and what would be an emergency appeal, they file to the 11th Circuit and say, listen, we want an injunction right now. Let this case go forward, blocking the judge's order today, and then the case might proceed on its merits if that is granted. Now, that appeals court has a history of overturning Judge Cannon's ruling, so that might be likely. However, I believe in the absolute substantive correctness, the validation of her order, so I don't predict that would be successful. But also the Trump team, and David Spunt touch on this for a moment, the Trump team could file an emergency appeal in the D.C. Federal Appeals Court saying, listen, let's stop the federal elections case, and all of that could pause while it winds their way up through, eventually, potentially, to the U.S. Supreme Court. So lots of legal things to develop, but in the next 2 days, look for those potential appeals being filed, and we'll see from there where the course the case takes.
Morgan, you could look at this as a situation where the wind is at the former president's back a little bit, at least so far. And I don't know. This has the potential to backfire politically on Democrats if they try to push this much further. And they might. I mean, the situation could be that they come at him in a different way. I mean, lawfare, they've done it before.
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, as Emily just laid out, it's probably more likely than not that the Attorney General's office, that they will try to appeal this. You know, the interesting thing about this is that it affects the January 6th case as well. And I think whether it is the Florida case, even if they appeal it, and the DC case, these both are most likely to hit the Supreme Court before they ever see a jury. And I think with only 4 months left to the election, we're unlikely to see that. So I think that's the bottom line of where we are, Harris.
And Kayleigh, I know you want to talk about the Justice Department's plans at this point, and it does kind of dovetail into what I was saying, that this could go on beyond the election.
Yeah, that's right. You know, Harris, it's worth thinking about what a remarkable moment this is. I mean, we thought we'd be coming into the convention with a sentencing. That was supposed to happen July 11th. Then that was pushed back. You have the immunity case. Now classified documents gone. But what's worth it looking at is 24 hours after Merchan said on July 11th, we're not doing the sentencing. We'll do it in September if there's even a need to do so. Within 24 hours, a Washington Post story broke, and here was the headline: Justice Department plans to pursue Trump cases past Election Day, even if he wins. And they cite Anthony Coley. He's a former Justice Department spokesperson for Garland. He said, I'd expect this Justice Department to be full speed ahead, and they should be. And here's the interesting part. Current officials, speaking on the condition of anonymity, expressed the same sentiment that if Trump wins, the clock on the federal cases ticks to January 20th. They were ready to double down on this. Cannon threw a huge wrench in their plans. We'll see what happens. But this Justice Department, they should dismiss both cases, dismiss Jack Smith. We'll see if they do it. They appear to be in double down mode at least a week ago.
And if that double down mode happens, Kevin, and they don't dismiss the cases, what kind of political backfire could happen for Democrats? What is the caution that you would have for them, for your party?
Well, certainly, you know, I want to beat the former president at the ballot box. I never wanted to beat him in the courtroom. I think, you know, when you look at the polling of the cases that the former president was facing, this was the most serious in terms of the concerns of the American people. To Emily's point, I certainly think it's probably going to be appealed up the chain, either to the Supreme Court or the 11th District. But certainly, you know, this process is still going to play out. But it's a win for the former president, no doubt. Wind is at his sails heading into the first day of his convention.
Hey everyone, I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kayleigh McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.